Birth rates are falling in the United States and elsewhere as women find other opportunities. It costs a lot of time and money to raise children, and I believe a lot of young women are starting to ask, how good an investment is it to raise children? This was very different back in the colonial America because people really needed their children for child labor. The economist Adam Smith wrote in 1776 that American parents made a clear profit of 100 pounds sterling for each child that they raised before the child was old enough to leave the house. That comes to about $21,000 today. That's a profit on the child while it was doing child labor. Whatever support that the adult children provided for the parents in their old age, that was extra. Well, it's the opposite today in financial terms. Children are very expensive. I found several references to show that it costs around $20,000 per year to raise a child in the United States. Of course, that's not supposed to be the main motivation for having children. Supposedly, we all have children because we love children, and we hope to have a lifetime of love and companionship from families. Successful families are worth more than you could possibly imagine in terms of a monetary value. But not all families are successful. You can find a lot of articles and videos today about family estrangement. This is also called no contact. When the children grow up to be adults, it's fairly common that they cut off all contact with one or more family members. Statistically, 25 to 50% of American adults are estranged from at least one close family member, according to what I could find in the literature. The good news for women is that mothers are the least likely to be cut off. The bad news is those numbers are still pretty high. I found that 6% to 11% of mothers are estranged from their adult children. All of the articles I read told us it's hard to see if there's any historical trend here because in the past, family estrangement was a taboo topic. People just swept that under the rug. But we do know that in colonial times, a lot of young adults left their parents and came to America. Then the next generation, and future generations, moved west to settle new territory. In fact, every generation throughout history has had a certain number of young adults who leave home to seek their fortunes elsewhere. And transportation used to be, and communication, used to be so primitive that there was very little chance they would ever see their parents again. We don't know how they felt about it. It could be that some of them were kind of happy to never see their parents again. Whatever the situation in the past, today you could easily spend 18 years raising a child, plus a lot of money, and have nothing to show for it. Different parents have a lot of different parenting styles, and as far as I can find any information about what parents believe, everybody thinks they're doing it right. If it happens that their adult children end up going no contact with them, most of them are shocked. One of my friends in particular had 3 children. One of them she considered a problem child, and they ended up estranged. And she said, I don't know what else I could have done. Okay, I believe she didn't know what else she could have done. But there are plenty of options for parents. And we have professional family counselors available to give you ideas about how to strengthen family ties. One thing I'd like to comment on is most cultures have a tradition of respect for the parents regardless of how good or bad they were. Now, let's think about any job in the world. If everybody gets the same pay and the same benefits, I don't think everybody is going to do their best work. I think it's a good idea that we're starting to talk about our experience with our parents so we can compare notes and see what kind of things work well and what kind of things we really don't want to do. You can see, you can actually see a lot of videos on family estrangement where parents blame the children, children blame the parents, whatever. Well, if that's what you want to do, it's completely up to you. But that's not what's going to give you a lifetime of love and companionship. I'd like to share two stories. First is one that I read by Dr. Fei Li. She wrote a book called The Worlds I See. She was born in China to some very low-income parents. Her parents made great personal sacrifices to bring her to America and give her the best possible education. She developed a very successful career in computer science. The other story is about my own parents. They also grew up in very poor families. Then my father served in the military and went to college on the GI Bill. That made such a difference in his life that he told everybody he ever talked to, I'm sending all my children to college. Well, when I got to be a teenager, my mother decided that she was going to college first. So when I was 14, she told me it was my job to do all the housework and babysitting because she was in school. Well, I was in school too. I was trying to get scholarships to college because my father had drilled it into my brain that this was really the thing to do. Get those scholarships for college. So for 4 years, I had a lot of work to do, and I never got any approval or appreciation from my parents because they were busy fighting with each other. Well, for 4 years, I felt like I was in purgatory, but I got my scholarships anyway. Okay, compared to Fei, how much devotion do you think I gave my parents? In finance, it is said, it takes money to make money. In families, I believe it takes love and devotion to create love and devotion. And the one thing that I always remember about dealing with people is people may forget what you do and what you say, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. Babies start out with a blank slate. If you make them feel loved and valued, they're going to feel a lot of love for you. On the other hand, if you make them feel that you hate them when you're angry, or you resent the amount of money that you have to spend and time that you have to spend on them, or even that you just tolerate them, they're not going to feel so devoted to you. And whatever your intentions are, if the child feels devastated by your actions, that child is not likely to have a lot of sympathy for how you feel when the child grows up and goes off to take care of his or her own interests. Now, you don't have to raise children. There's all kinds of other opportunities in the world. There's plenty of people. You don't have to do this. But if you choose to raise children, I think it's a really good idea to protect your investment. Even if you do the worst possible job as a parent, it still takes a lot of time and a lot of money. So for a little extra effort, you can get a huge return. You can get children who love you and want to see you for the rest of your life if you have a successful family. So I encourage you to think about this. And when the question comes up, are children a good investment? I think it depends on how much you invest. Thank you for watching.